Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going over some ways to save Primogems. This is a part 2 to my original video of how to save Primogems, because the first video left out a few things that I hadn't thought of yet, and I'd like to share with you all, and some of the things are repeats, but I have more to share on them, so I will be bringing those up as well. So I hope you all enjoy, and I will be doing some artifact farming in the background while you guys enjoy this. And let's get straight to it. My first tip is going to be the same as my last video, and it's to choose a character and have that character in mind. And when picking this character, you should have them off the top of your head, knowing which character this is that you're saving for. And if you can't think of them within 5 seconds, then you are not ready to save, because you always want to have a character in mind before you start saving, because it's going to give you something to grab onto and grab hold of when you feel like spending. Another great thing that having a character in mind can bring is that you can utilize phone and PC wallpapers of this character. I personally love Wallpaper Engine. It's a Steam app that adds a bunch of animated wallpapers to your desktop. They have a bunch of Genshin ones. I have a Columbina one, which I will show quickly. One of the reasons that Wallpaper Engine is so great is it just gives a whole vibe of this character. And I think it's really great. This is not sponsored or anything. I really love Wallpaper Engine, so I just wanted to bring that up quickly because I think it's really good. I also had a Lanyon one for the time I was saving for Lanyon. Using wallpapers that have art that you really enjoy can be really good and useful for remembering who you are saving for and why you are saving all these Primogems. The next tip I have is to stop considering. Stop debating whether or not you should pull and just forget that it exists. It's hard to forget that the existence of wishing exists without really knowing what you're doing. So I'd recommend just whenever you think about, should I pull on this? If you're wondering whether or not you should pull for a character, I would recommend just putting your foot down and saying, no, I'm not going to pull for this character. Be firm with your mind, because you are not your brain and your brain is not you. So making sure to send the signals to your brain that you are not pulling until this character that you want is out. Otherwise, your brain will realize it's up for debate, and it's not up for debate. You are going to stay on track, so immediately shut that down when you realize you are thinking about pulling for a character. Especially if they're a new character, because new characters often have a shiny new character bias to them, and then you want to pull for them more because they're new. This is really more of a psychological point than a Genshin related point, but I think it is valid and useful to bring up because this is about how to save. Saving is partially psychological. My second tip is not to buy Genesis crystals. By this, I don't really mean not to buy them, but I mean more to wait until your pulling session to buy them. If you do plan on saving money for Genesis crystals, it adds up a second backup plan, so if your free-to-play savings do fail, or if you do end up spending them on something, you have the backup plan of your Genesis crystals, which is super useful. Basically, just don't buy Genesis crystals until the banner you want is out. My next tip is actually to convert your fates. Would you rather have 2,000 Primogems or 13 pulls? If you didn't know how to do math, you'd probably think 2,000 Primogems. But if you do know how to do math, you'll know that 13 fates is actually more than 2,000 Primogems. To avoid overestimating how many fates you have, it's good to convert your Primogems into fates. This does avert the high number serotonin, which comes with having a giant number of Primogems, but it also will help you save and let you do a big pulling session once your favorite character is out. I often overestimate how many pulls I have, which is why I always transition them to fates. It helps me get a realistic number of how much I need to save and how much spending would affect me. When you look at your fates and you have 13,000, you're like, oh my gosh, I have so many, but that's not even enough to guarantee a 5-star. So definitely converting your Primogems to fates is really important. It also solves the rare occurrence of changing your Primogems into quaint fates by mistake. Although it is rare, it does happen, I've heard, so I'd rather avoid that, because if you do it by mistake, it'll only be 1 or 2 fates, but if you were to save them all as Primogems and then transfer them all at once, you'd have a lot of quaint fates by mistake, and that would be really tragic. My next tip is actually one of my favorites that I've come up with recently, and it's to choose a favorite. Choose a favorite game, whichever game is your favorite, whether it be Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, Wuthering Waves. All of these can benefit from these tips, but I would choose only one of them to utilize these on. By choosing a favorite game, you can understand your playing style better and understand how much you're willing to put into each game. Personally, Genshin is my favorite. I like to put a majority of my time into Genshin. When it comes to Honkai Star Rail and ZZZ and Wuthering Waves, I don't play them as much because I prefer Genshin. Genshin has always been my favorite, and it makes it easier for me to save because on Genshin's my favorite. If I were to save on Honkai Star Rail, I'd probably get bored very quickly and just pull. By choosing a favorite, you will often end up committing more to the game, which also helps you get more out of it. I'm not telling you to only play that game, but I think it's good to know which game is your favorite out of all of the gacha games you play if you play multiple, because trying to juggle multiple games can be really tiring and confusing, and I often don't do my commissions on Honkai Star Rail because I forget. When choosing a favorite, it can be for any reason, like character design, story, playstyle, whatever. Just pick a favorite gacha game and call it a day. It can change over time, but I think it's always good to have one favorite. The last tip I have is to use an alt account. I did bring this up briefly in my other video, but I do want to go more into it because there is a lot more I want to discuss about it. Pulling on an alt account can save you a lot of dread. And I don't even think upkeep is necessary on this alt account, because grinding for the Primogems will also give you a slight reminder of how much you're gonna have to grind back if you end up pulling for this character on your main, just to get back up to where you were. So I think grinding it out when there's a character you want can help you get that out of your system. And I think the disappointment can usually discourage people from pulling on your main, because it reminds you, you get the feeling of pull, even if you lose your 50-50, even if you don't get the character, you can still get the feeling of pulling and getting it out of your system. And if you do get the character, that's great, but often, with new characters especially, we end up getting the character and not even using them like that often. That happened for me with Kinich, because I don't even go on my alt accounts very much to play him. I love his character, I love his playstyle a little bit, but it's not as fun for me. If I had him on my main, I would not play him very often anymore. Make sure you've gotten the desire to pull out of your system before hopping back onto your main, because the last thing you want to do is do all that pulling, get all discouraged, and then decide, oh, maybe I'll do a few pulls on my main. You want to make sure that it doesn't make you want to pull on your main. You want to just make sure it's an alt account thing, and if you really do want the character, grind for it on your alt account. Do not go for it on your main. You can always go, especially if it's a new character, their rerun will be sooner than if it was an older character, so don't worry too much, and make sure to keep saving. I have a few more things I want to bring up quickly before I end the video, which is, firstly, I don't think you always need to save. I know I've brought this up briefly earlier, but I think it's important to save when you feel a need to, but not always. Like, once I finish getting Columbina, when she comes out, I am probably going to stop saving for a little while and do some other stuff with my pulls. But when I find a new character I want to save for, then I'm going to start saving again. I think saving should be used as a tactic to make sure you get what you want, but only if you really want to. If you don't want to save, I don't think it's necessary. And also, if you set a pattern in your head that you know is going to be broken, if you set a pattern in your head to save 24/7, you're going to end up breaking it one day, and then your brain is going to take that as saving is optional. And you don't want that. You want your brain to think that I'm going to save until I get this character, and that is not optional. But if you're saving constantly, eventually it's going to break and you're going to set a bad pattern in your mind. Now that we've discussed all of that, I think it is about time to end the video. If you're interested in wondering what happened and why I stopped posting, this is where you'll find that. But if not, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. As for why I haven't been posting, I've been very hyperfixated recently on a different game, so I've been like really stuck in that game, But recently I've gotten back into the thing of Genshin, and I've been doing my commissions, and I've been doing my events, and I haven't missed a whole lot of events. I missed one event, and I missed like a week of commissions. But other than that, I've still been doing everything, and that's definitely positive. If you're wondering when the next Saving for Columbina video will be, that should be soon. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys next time. I'm sorry for the long wait for this video, and I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!